Hello and welcome to the Shea Hates Everything Podcast, where we talk about video games, movies, comics, and other shit that matters. My name is Shea, and today I hate riding on an elevator with someone that smokes.
My name is Kyle, and today I hate how fast glasses get dirty.
So yeah, breaking news. I feel like we need like a music drop for breaking news. I'm looking at your face right now via Google Hangouts, and you're wearing glasses. Just following in my footsteps yet again with your degrading eye quality.
Yep, yeah. This was not something I had planned to emulate you in, but so over the past few years, my eyes have been getting a little blurrier, and so I went and finally convinced myself to make an appointment and go into the optometrist. And I mean, I have 25/20 vision in both eyes still. But it's not good enough. So, because he showed me what it would be like with a prescription, and it was not an insignificant change. And like I've been having trouble when I'm driving, reading road signs, and when cars are driving at me at night, like I can't see shit.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
It's a little dangerous.
Yeah. So I got the coating on the lenses that help with nighttime driving, and I've done that a couple times already, and it's significantly better. I mean, there's still assholes who leave their brights on, but for those who don't, it's a lot better. Because like before, it felt like everyone always had their brights on when they were driving at me, and now it's a lot better. And I have that 4K TV, and I put my glasses on, and I was playing Destiny on it. I was like, this looks significantly better. Like nice. I'm picking out details I couldn't before and stuff, and I can sit on my couch and read the names of all of my movies and games that are stacked up on the shelves where I couldn't before. So for me, it's a good change.
My eyesight was never that terrible. I don't know if I have like 25/20. It's probably something similar, but I have astigmatism in my eyes. So for anybody that doesn't know, that's kind of like a constant quivering in my eyes, which makes my focus not as good. And so I used to have problems far away and up close, like it didn't matter, where I would always be squinting at everything in order to make it more clear, because then I'm like forcing my eyes to focus, and so that led to like a lot of headaches and mostly just looking really dumb all the time, because I'm constantly doing that like squint with the open mouth and like the wrinkled nose. So since getting glasses, and I mean, I've had glasses for a long time. I think it was when I would like turn 18 is when I got them, or maybe 19, but so I've had them for like a decade, and my wife works at an eye clinic, and so I can get a free checkup there. So I went maybe a year and a half ago, because I hadn't been since, just to like check out my prescription. And so they changed my prescription, and so it's a little bit more hardcore, and that just makes me sad. Like I hate that, because my eyes were becoming accustomed to not having great eyesight, and then I put glasses on, which made everything super clear, but then my eyes adjust to having glasses, or those like lenses to help them out, and so then I have to get a heavier prescription, and then a heavier prescription, and a heavier prescription. It's just going to be a constant degradation of my eyesight, and that's just like, it's that piece of mortality that you don't always feel, and it made me feel that, and it made me very sad. But I did get some like hip new glasses. Our glasses are similar
Yeah,
shape.
They're pretty close, yeah.
It's like, I mean, they're not like an uncommon glasses thing. They're just like the black, larger square look that all the cool
like the
kids
thinner,
rock.
Slightly thinner frames, not like the really big hipster frames, but...
Right. The glasses that I have now are very different from the ones I had before. I loved my first pair of glasses. They were Oakleys, which I thought was cool at the time. They were like a tortoiseshell, like green and black tortoiseshell look, but they were fairly narrow, so they were much wider than they were tall. And I just liked the look of them, but they felt a little more studious. And the glasses I wear now are a little bit larger, and I just feel a little bit more hip now. Like I feel like they're a little bit more cool glasses. And these are the ones that I have are Lacoste, so I have the like little Lacoste symbol on the left side, which I don't love. Like it feels a little like, but I got them for way cheaper than they were supposed to be because of my wife, thankfully. So
just
I'm
take
not
a
like
black
cool
Sharpie and go over the logo with it.
Totally. Nothing wrong with that.
That's how that works.
No.
Yeah, I just got like whatever cheapo brand there was, because my my vision insurance from the school, they'll pay up to $150 for a pair of like non-designer, or no, they'll pay up to 150 for non-designer, and then 170 for designer, and then anything over that you pay, you only have to pay, or they will pay 20% of the overage, so you're only paying 80% of the difference. And then they have like really good lens coverage, and then so my appointment to go there and get my eyes checked out, the lenses and the frames and like the coating on the lenses for the nighttime driving stuff, it was all like it was like $110 for my pair of glasses, which was pretty good when all said and done. Especially because I only pay like 89 cents per paycheck towards my vision coverage.
Yeah, sure.
It's really good. So.
Well, yeah. And I mean, hopefully now that you have them, you won't need to go back for quite a while. Unless you break your glasses, which is what happened to me.
Yeah, mine feel a little cheap. So I'm trying to keep them in their case when I'm not wearing them, which has not been going super swell so far.
Yeah, like they're fairly resilient. Like I think you'll be surprised. But mine broke because I walked into a wall. I don't know like why or how that happened, but I was just like, I was standing in my living room and I needed to, like, I was walking out of my office and I remembered that I needed something, and I just like turned around and like bonked into the wall, and just they split like right down the middle on the nose bridge. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I've had these glasses for like 8 years, have had no problems with them, and then just now all of a sudden, and this was when I didn't have a job too, which made it even worse. I was like, oh good, here's a couple $100. So I like texted my wife and I was like, I'm so sorry, I'm the worst. I'm already like not contributing to our finances.
You should have just Harry Pottered the halves back together with the tape in the middle. That would have been a good
Oculus Reparo. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa. So there's your glasses update. Also, a little programming note. You might have noticed, just in case you didn't, but you may have noticed that you're listening to this on a Monday. Well, theoretically, it's been uploaded on a Monday. We have been uploading on Tuesdays. The original intent was we were trying to work out like our schedule. I wanted to give myself a little bit of extra time to edit, and just because I wanted to avoid missing episodes, which didn't work because we already missed an episode. But I don't need the extra time to record right now, and Kyle can't record Mondays, so it's like we always end up recording on the weekend anyway, and so might as well get it out there on Monday. Get it a little bit more fresh. That way, if any big news happens on Monday, it doesn't feel like we've missed it. So, yeah. Extra day early. If there's some reason that you like prefer a Tuesday, just let me know and we'll consider it. But I want to try this out for a little bit and see how this goes on the production side. So let's dive right into what we've been playing, watching, and reading. And I know still the big thing is Destiny 2. Right, yeah. I mean, we definitely have both sunk a lot more time into that over the past, like, couple weeks. Yeah, so, and I know, because I have started a sort of live journal about my Destiny 2 experiences. You can check it out on the site, SheaHatesEverything.com. It's called Don't Cabal It a Comeback, which is really the reason why I wanted to shout it out on the podcast, because I thought for a while about some kind of clever name that I could come up with this, like, is there something with loot or like engrams or whatever, and it just kind of came to me, you know? And see, that's the kind of name that I feel like you came up with the name first, and then you figured out what you were gonna do with the name later. No, it actually wasn't. I gotta use this name somewhere. Well, because I talked about this last episode that I wanted to have like an ongoing journal of my Destiny experiences, because in the first game, it's such like a big, long game, and there's so many things to do. And the way, I'm not going to write a review for something until after I've experienced all there is to experience. And I don't get stuff early. Like, I'm not a professional reviewer. I'm not getting games early. So my reviews already come out several weeks after the game. And with Destiny, it was even longer. It was a couple months after the game release where I put my review out. And I was like, that just doesn't feel like it's hitting the needs of people that are following my stuff. And so I wanted to find a way to be putting out content and thoughts and opinions as I'm playing the game without it being like a quote-unquote review. And so I was like, okay, so what can I do with that? And I thought a journal made sense, make them little short posts based on the date. And then I just wanted a clever name because I want to be witty at all times. So no, the name came afterwards. And I was trying to workshop with Kelly, actually. Like, I had a couple ideas that I didn't really feel like hit it. And I was like, well, what about this? What about this? And she's like, I don't know anything about this game. I don't know if this is clever or not. And I just had that, like, moment, don't Cabal out a comeback. And I was like, dude, this is amazing. Kelly, don't Cabal out a comeback. She's like, okay, I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's clever or not. Poor Kelly. She has to listen to me, like, pontificate all the time about stuff that she doesn't understand. Because I think better when I talk through it. And I don't want to be a crazy person and talk through it to myself out loud. She's like my vehicle. If it's not her, it's going to be my dog, and I feel like that's even more weird. But yeah, so don't Cabal to come back. Check it out on SheaHatesEverything.com. So Kyle, you and we have been playing a decent amount together. We've also played a bit solo. I know you've played with a couple other friends. So together, we beat the game. And then we have done a couple of the world quests post-game. And those lead to exotic gear
on 3 of the 4 planets.
Right. Yeah. The final one I don't believe does, but and they also like give you some good legendary stuff as well. But I just kind of want to talk a little bit more now that we're like into the end game about what that process feels like and the kinds of content there is available, because that was a big criticism of Destiny 1, especially early on before everybody was diving into the raid, that there just wasn't that much to do anymore. Like, you could do the harder versions of the strikes, you could do harder versions of each story mission, but there just wasn't a ton else going on in terms of like discoverability and world building. And I really feel like Destiny 2 has done a much better job with that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's definitely I don't know that there's more to do, but like we've said before, there are more types of things to do.
Yeah.
So I mean that helps, but still, because I mean the first Destiny got stale for me really quickly, and this one's already getting there. Because the things that I have left to do are like the Nightfalls, the raids, and some of the strikes. I think there's a strike I have not played yet. Because are there 3 strikes right now, or are there only 2?
I think I think there are 4, maybe even 5. Because there's one that's exclusive to PlayStation. So I think maybe on PS4 there are 5, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, maybe I haven't seen like 2 of the raids then. So there's some content I still haven't seen there, and like that's like the raids and the strikes and stuff. Those are things that like that's where the game really shines, and like the creativity of the enemy and level designs and stuff. And so that's some of the things that I haven't been seeing, but I just like I'm hitting this wall where cuz the numbers, so like for the first several hours you play the game, the numbers are going up at a really fast clip. Like it's like up. It's but that power level, they call it power, so we know it's good. And like
every single piece of gear that is dropping, and gear drops a lot, every single piece is higher than where you are. So it is a constant progression.
Yeah, and then you hit 260, 265, and then everything just halts.
Right.
And then you're getting these like very small incremental differences, but you have to do the things that are giving you quote unquote powerful gear drops. And that just basically means gear that's over 260, 265. So, and I've gotten a few of those, but you get them from doing your weekly milestones, and then also the raids and strikes and stuff, or the Nightfalls. I just like, I don't know, like I can't do that stuff alone, so you have to do it with a group, and I can't always get the group together when I'm able to play, because my rehearsals and stuff, and my schedule is a little different than like someone with an office job. And so I feel like all I can do is run around the worlds, and like even grinding out public events and stuff for rep tokens and all that, for rep bundles. Those are only giving me 265 legendary engrams. Those aren't going any higher. So, like, even that isn't useful anymore. And, like, that stuff is fun to do, but it's not giving me anything that progresses my character.
And you haven't hit 270, right?
I am. I'm 270 now.
Okay, well, you should get, like, from the rep people, you should be getting stuff regularly now, like, in the engrams that are 268. because I was in the same place. Like when I was wearing my max power level gear, I was at like 268, 269, and I was in the same spot as you. But as soon as I got a couple more exotics that like brought my potential power level above 270, those dropped at 268, which made it more easy. Like I could infuse those new things into my old things to help bring my like regular power level up. And I think now when I'm wearing like max gear, I'm at like 274. I rarely wear that stuff because I want to wear the stuff I like. So I'm usually in like the low 270s, but I'm at least semi-regularly getting things that are around the 270 range. But I mean, I'm right there with you, especially in the 265 power level. Like that was a really, really long hurdle, especially when all I was doing was playing strikes and doing community events and that kind of stuff. I wasn't doing the Nightfall and doing the world quests and all that stuff that leads to powerful gear. On the Nightfall topic, we did try the Nightfall this past week.
It was not fun.
Yeah, it wasn't. We didn't get super far, to be fair. But it's one like because it's.
But
so
I've played that strike before.
Sure,
and, I mean,
so have I.
That strike also sucks.
You're right.
It's the boss it takes a million years to beat, which is not good for a Nightfall. Because Nightfall, the thing about them, they're timed, and there are things you can do to increase that time limit. But like, I don't know, having a time limit in a game is my least favorite implementation of difficulty. Like it feels lazy, and it adds unnecessary stress, especially when like Destiny just feels good to play because it's a solid shooter. Like that's what I like about it, is it's fun to shoot stuff in that game because it feels good and the controls are responsive and I feel like I'm in control, whereas it's not always the case with every game. So like they have that formula down, and then they throw in a mechanic to artificially increase the difficulty, and I don't appreciate it.
And it makes you want to not play some of the content because like if the time's ticking down and there is like a group of enemies right there, you're better served to try to ride right past them and not fight them. And that's just like it's encouraging you to not play the game. And I'm with you. I'm not a huge fan of those mechanics. But part of our problem with the Nightfall Strike, we only played for a couple of minutes, honestly, in it, and we all like. We screwed up. The three of us that were playing, we all ended up dying, so we had to restart. And so once we were going through that first area again, we got dropped from the server. And so like I got booted out of the fire team, we got put back to the main menu. And so then we were just like, that wasn't fun anyway, fuck this. And that's something that I haven't seen many people talking about, and maybe it hasn't been widespread, but my connection issues with Destiny 2 have been very real. It's like almost every single time I play the game, which is 3 to 4 times a week, I get booted at some point and I drop from the server. And that it could happen if I'm out in the open world areas. It's happened when I was in the tower. It's happened in a loading screen trying to go to an area I got dropped from the server. It's happened in the middle of a strike. And that like it would be frustrating in any circumstance, but especially in a game that's about like the end gaming. So like end gaining rather. So like in a strike, you get the good stuff at the end of the strike. You may get a random rare drop or an engram or whatever else throughout as you're fighting other enemies, but most of the gear you're getting is from beating the final boss in the strike. And the strikes aren't short. So like if I play through 3/4 of the strike and get dropped from the server, I basically gained nothing from that. I'm not really leveling up anymore in any significant way. I didn't get any gear from doing it, so I just wasted 10 minutes.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, if you're able to like reload and get back in, I think it lets you join the strike again, doesn't it? Because that happened when I think you, Cody, and I were doing a strike, weren't we? And then one of us got dropped, and we were able to get back in. You can join
back in the fire team, but if I'm playing with randoms, I don't know who they are. I don't know where to go to jump back in there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and so it's like it sucks that this is the world we live in. But in like launch week or even specifically launch day, a little bit of that is acceptable. And that happened with me when this game first came out. I was getting dropped all the time when I was trying to play Destiny on the day it released. And like that, it sucks. It doesn't make it okay, but it's a little bit more acceptable because you understand how many people are on the servers at all times. It's been a couple weeks now at this point. I can't imagine the amount of players that are playing it is the same as it was the first week. And they should be able to iron out some of the kinks. So maybe it isn't a super widespread issue again because I haven't seen a lot of people talking about it. But at least for me, that's been a very large frustration almost every single time I play the game. And that sucks.
Yeah, it's just, it's a big bummer. And it's one of those things that, like you said, it'll either hit you. It's always at the wrong time. Mm-hmm. It always hits you at the wrong time.
Yeah. Kind of beyond that, like going into some of the other stuff that we've been discovering now that we're in the post game. So for anybody that played Destiny 1, you know that Xur is back. And for people that aren't familiar, he's like a weapon vendor that in the first game came around every weekend and he sold like exotic stuff. And so those
and
were
he looks
harder
exactly like the merchant from Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, he did, except with black tentacles for a face.
Which, to be fair, the guy from Resident Evil 4 could have had. He had a bandana around his face.
Fair enough. What are you buying? So Xur sells exotic gear, and in the first game he also sold like a bunch of other random stuff. Part of the problem with Destiny 1 where there were so many different kinds of currencies that it made it really hard to parse, which is something Destiny 2 has significantly streamlined in a positive way. So for Xur, at least right now, he sells a weapon, and he sells a piece of gear for each of the 3 classes. And all of those things you just buy using legendary shards.
Yeah.
Which you get from dismantling your legendary gear. And so exotic gear. Yes, and exotic gear. So I get a lot of legendary gear because like I'm doing the public events and running strikes and playing a little bit of multiplayer here and there. And so through those you're getting tokens that you churn in to gain reputation, and every time you hit a reputation threshold you get a legendary engram. And because of the power level where I am, which is above 270, very, very, very rarely are those legendary engrams that I'm unlocking giving me better stuff than I already have. So I'm just dismantling them, which gives me the legendary shards, which then on the weekends I can turn into Xur.
And also gives you weapon parts, which you then turn into the gunsmith to get more legendary engrams that you're not going to use and dismantle.
Yeah. The loop
but like that's what I was talking about before, is like it feels everything is useless. Like I'm just breaking it down to funnel into more stuff that I'm breaking down.
That you're going to break down. Yeah, I get that. But yeah, so Xur is back, and he was here last weekend. He's here this weekend as well. And so that's just been a fun, like, trip down memory lane sort of thing of, like, remembering when I was hardcore into Destiny 1, like, going to the tower every single Saturday to see what Xur had for me this week. And so that's a fun thing that brings me back to those days. I wish that he had more stuff, because, like, in the first game he had, where you could change the color of the jet stream that comes out the back of your Sparrow, like just little kitschy stuff like that. And he had more, like you could buy exotic engrams from him for, I think it was like more legendary shards and something else, but like that way you didn't know what exotic you were going to get, and there was a little bit of like the fun mystery there. And for now it's just 4 things. There's a weapon and 1 piece of armor for each class. So like if you already have the weapon and you already have the piece of armor for your class, you get nothing out of Xur, which is the problem I have with him this weekend. I watched a YouTube video this morning of like what he has this week. He has a weapon I already have, and I'm playing a Warlock, and he has gauntlets that I already have. So
yeah, I
have no need to go talk to Xur, and that like bums me out a little bit. Now I got to wait a week and hope that he has something cool next time. But also talking about the multiplayer. So neither of us are competitive multiplayer shooter fans particularly anymore.
No, not anymore.
Yeah, so like we used to be hardcore into Call of Duty, like a little bit in Battlefield. So you played a little bit of Battlefield 1 as well, right? I remember we played a little bit together.
Yeah, for a couple weeks.
And Star Wars Battlefront, when it came out, we played a little bit of it. But it's like I just don't get that much enjoyment out of multiplayer shooters anymore because I'm so competitive, and I don't know, it's just not fun for me. Like the combination of how other players play, dying a lot in ways that don't seem fair, not having a bunch of friends that I'm playing with, so I'm typically on a team that is losing because they aren't communicating, like just all those things together lead to me not having a good time.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this last podcast about how for you and I, if we're going to play a game like that, it needs to be with someone to kind of alleviate some of that tension. Because then like we'll have a lot of fun and it is enjoyable. But so often we are stuck wanting to play the game and no one else can play with us, so we play by ourselves, and that's when we really get mad.
Yeah. But with the multiplayer in Destiny 2, like I wanted to check it out just because I feel obligated as someone that talks about video games. But also you have your like weekly challenges, and you have additional challenges where, like, if you accomplish those, you get this quote-unquote powerful gear, which is higher power level stuff. And so one of those challenges was to play 2 matches of the Crucible. So I was like, okay, I haven't done it yet. I guess I'll go in and play. And so, like, they've changed it this time to be, instead of being most of the modes being 6-on-6, all modes are 4-on-4, which makes things a little bit more tactical. And obviously they changed the map design to be a little bit smaller to account for it. I'm not sure if I have a preference between the 4-on-4 or the 6-on-6, but I only played 2 rounds, and I did have like a decent amount of fun. Part of it was because I was playing well, like I was top of my team both times, which makes it, if you're doing well, it makes it more fun. But I don't know. It's still like not my thing. I'm not going to be a hardcore Iron Banner player. I'm not going to be a hardcore Trials of the Nine player, which are like kind of the more elite multiplayer modes in Destiny 2 that they're bringing back from the first game. But I don't know. Like, are you planning on diving in at all some point?
If I do, it will only be for the powerful gear. And what I'll probably do, sorry to any potential teammates, is hold like up or left on the move stick and just wait the thing out.
Don't be that guy.
I think that's probably what I'll do.
I when I went in, I like really thought to myself, okay, I need to change my mentality for this. I know how competitive I get and how it like makes me angry when I die in these games. So I'm just gonna relax. Like, I'm not gonna try super hard. So that way, if I don't do well, I don't care. But then, like, I started off the very first match, I got like 5 kills in a row, and I was like, okay, I'm doing well, so now I feel like I want to try.
Now you start to care more.
Yes, yeah. And then as soon as something bad happens, it makes me angry, so
every
don't
time you
plan
think
on
you're out, they
spending
pull
much
you
time.
back in.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, as far as like multiplayer shooters coming out, like that's a big reason I'm not super interested in the next Call of Duty, because I don't really want to play online multiplayer. And one of the only reasons I'm interested in Battlefront 2 is because it has that single player mode, and it's also Star Wars, which makes it easier to enjoy even if I'm dying a lot and getting angry.
Right. Yeah, I hope someone I know gets Call of Duty WW2, because I will totally play multiplayer with them. But I'm getting Battlefront and Call of Duty mostly for the story.
Sure.
And then I know some of my friends are going to get Battlefront on PS4, so I'll play with them when they're wanting to play. But again, I'm not going to dive in solo. It's a bad scene.
I still remember when, I think this was before I had started a YouTube channel, but you had yours going, and we did like a session of Modern Warfare 3. Yeah, we played like 10 rounds of the multiplayer of that, and just I remember watching those videos after you posted them and just being like, it doesn't seem like we're having fun at all. Like, we're just complaining about all this other stuff, and that was when I was like, yeah, man, multiplayer shooters, not my scene.
Yeah. Now, I did, for my channel, I did do Battlefield 3 like a couple years after it released on PC, and I just called it Random Battlefield 3 because why not? And like, I had a really fun intro, and it was just like me kind of just trying to have way too much energy the whole time and just be crazy and do like ridiculous like run and gun medic stuff the whole time, and that was fun because like I had sort of like a shtick I was going for, and it wasn't just me playing the game. It was me like trying to do some things that were occasionally counter to the design of the game and certain situations I was in. And so when it didn't work, it's like, okay, yeah, no shit, that didn't work. Like, I ran out into the middle of the whole area like with my defibrillators out, like but then when it did work, it was like,
yeah, it was badass.
Yeah, it was totally awesome. So
yeah.
That's another good way to play those kinds of games, is the way they aren't intended to be played.
Yeah, it just comes down to like not taking it super seriously, which is something that I know I struggle with.
Yeah, me too.
Final thing on Destiny 2 I wanted to bring up. So I have not been into the raid yet, but you had a raid experience.
Holy shit. About that? Yeah, so man, like, it's a really cool area because everything's like gilded gold and white, and it's really, really pretty. And the enemies are super freaking hard, and all of the battles, they're very mechanical. So like, everyone has a role they need to play, and they need to play it perfectly, because like, there's this one area, and I'm not going to say much about it because I don't want to spoil anything, but like you literally need the full team of 6, and everybody needs to be like rotating in and out of these points, and you need like people that are floaters in case stuff happens, and if someone dies it disrupts the whole flow and then it sets everyone back, and that just increases the potential for other people to die because it's taking longer. And then the thing that you do once you've done that whole thing takes way too long, and that means you have to do that whole big long thing like at least another time, if not 2 times. And we couldn't keep it going for that long. It was really, really hard. And we were playing it, we were in the second area of it, and I think there's like 4 or 5 areas, maybe more, of the raid. And I don't know, like, it was the process of figuring out what to do was fun because it was like a puzzle. But then once we knew what to do but still couldn't do it, that was immensely frustrating and demoralizing. And so like all of us, it was me and a couple buddies of mine that like we knew each other. We played games for a while, and a few other kind of randoms from a community that they're a part of, a gaming community they're a part of, not me. And they didn't really know each other all that well. They'd never played games before. And so we were having fun getting to know each other too, which helped. And that, but by the end of it, we were all definitely like, yeah, we should stop because this is a bad scene. So, and
I mean, having not played it, I can't say for certain, but that doesn't sound that different than like the raid experience in Destiny 1.
I never played raids in 1.
Okay. That makes more sense. Yeah, I mean, I didn't dive into the raids in the first game that much, again, because I primarily played the game by myself. Very occasionally I played with you until you got bored with the game much sooner than I did.
Yeah.
But, I joined in a community with a group of guys that I didn't know. And so, yeah, like, I played the raids way after they had come out, so everybody already knew what to do in them. Well, that's not totally true. Separate story on that, but I think it was the first raid. It was Vaulted Glass, so that raid had been out for months. I think like another couple DLCs had come out, and so all these guys had done that raid dozens of times at this point. And so then they just kind of walked me through it and like told me what I needed to do in each area, which like it certainly wasn't the quote unquote raid experience, but it still was fun because the content was so different than the other Destiny content. It was so much better and more in depth and tactical. And it was just cool to like
that.
Yes. And it was cool to like be the new guy and like have the experienced guys walk me through. Like that was just fun. And so like I got to accomplish that, and the gear I got from it was useless because at that point like I had already had stuff that was way better. But then when Dark Below came out, I played that raid the first week, or I mean, it wasn't like right when it came out, I think, but it was a couple weeks later, and I played with a group of guys who hadn't done it at all from that same community, and we had played together a little bit here and there, but we weren't like a close-knit fire team or whatever. And so for that, it was going through the first time and figuring the stuff out, and there were several pieces that were really fun in that raid. There's one like platforming section where there are a bunch of like big ships that kind of crisscross in different areas, and they disappear at different times. Yeah, and so like that was fun for us to go through because it wasn't like super mechanical. It was more memorization and timing, and so after a couple times through you can kind of figure that out. But a later boss, like there was a really complicated methodology of what you needed to do. You needed to like kill a certain guy, stand on a certain thing, avoid this, and then you can do boss damage. But then this other thing happens. You have to be doing this while you're damaging the boss. There were a lot of different moving pieces that we just had a hard time figuring out because all of us were fresh and new. And at that point, like we'd been playing the raid for like 6 hours. And so we were just kind of like, I think maybe we're done. And I never got back with that group of guys to try that again. So I didn't have a ton of Destiny 1 raid experience, but I at least got that like first time through, no one has any idea what's going on thought process. And that at least is fun. And I definitely see what you're saying. Like, once you figure it out, it doesn't make it easy. And that's where the frustration comes in. Because, like, you know what you're supposed to do. You just aren't able to do it. And that's frustrating. But for me, like, the figuring it out is a really fun piece for me. So at some point, I want to find a group of guys or girls to go through and do the raid with. Because I think that regardless of whether or not I finish it, at least that part will be fun.
Yeah, and it is fun, and like especially if like everyone in the group is kind of good natured and in it to have fun, I think that really helps too. I mean, if it's a group of people who are like dead set on we're gonna beat this raid tonight, that's not gonna be a fun group to be a part of. And I heard, I was listening to the Bombcast, and I heard that every week the order of the raid is alternated or is switched. Okay. So if we were to go back to it, the odds of us getting that room the second time is very unlikely. So I would be interested in at least going back and checking to see, like, maybe we get another room and then like
that you can
try and figure out the puzzle there. But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, we still got this other room we gotta beat, and that's a real bitch. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then like, so if I'm not interested in the raids, what the hell am I playing the game for?
Right. It's that loot. Like for me, I want to get more of the exotics. That's kind of where I am right now. And so I want to do the rest of the world quests. I want to get some more exotic engrams to hopefully unlock some stuff. But I mean, I think the direction you're going is like you're already feeling like your desire to play the game is going away, and it's only been out for a couple of weeks. And I definitely don't disagree with you. I mean, the monotony of what you're doing is definitely still there, because like we've been saying this whole time, the different types of things you can do, there are a lot, but the number of things in each type of thing is not many. Like, you know, there are strikes and public events, world quests, adventures, patrols. Like, there are all these different things, but there are like 3 of each of those. Like, there aren't very many strikes. There aren't very many public events. So when you are doing those, you're still getting the same ones over and over and over again. I know we were playing the other day, Kyle, with another buddy of mine, and we were just doing some public events to accomplish a step in a particular world quest that we were trying to do.
Which turns out it didn't work for me, by the way.
Well, yeah.
Which was really shitty.
But like we had to do a couple of public events, and we got the same one over and over again. And it's just and we had already played, like not even that day, but in the weeks preceding, we had already played that public event dozens of times. And it's just like, it becomes not fun like to do the same thing over and over again. And I know that's something that is a big part of MMOs. It's just, I don't know. It's a little disappointing to see Bungie learn so many lessons from the first game and fix so many things, but the amount of content is something they didn't fix. And to me, like, that is literally the biggest problem from Destiny 1. It wasn't the story. It wasn't the, that there were too many currencies. There wasn't enough stuff. And the amount of stuff is bigger, but like it still feels monotonous.
Yeah, it's still inadequate.
That just is a bummer. Yeah.
Like they didn't, because the whole game hinges upon grinding these things over and over, and so you think that's where they would have spent some of their time and energy into making the variety, making it a bigger variety, but it doesn't seem like they went all the way with it.
And they only have X amount of time to make the game before it releases. They have a million things that they're working on. But it's like you look at the strikes, and there are 4 or 5 strikes. How could they think that is enough? It just seems odd. And so like the other problem with the strikes, because that was my favorite part of the first Destiny, was doing strikes. There aren't that many, and at this point where I am in my progression, there is literally no reason to do the strikes, because they're so far below my power level that like very rarely am I ever getting legendary gear. It's almost always rare gear, which is only useful to dismantle, get armor, like whatever armory points, so I can level up that reputation. And if that's my goal, there are way faster ways of doing that. So like at this point, I'm only playing strikes because they're fun. And that's not, I don't know. I don't want to say that's not the point of the game, because the point of the game should be to have fun. But like if the loop that you're putting me into in the game is getting new and better gear and raising my power level, strikes are not helping me accomplish that. And in the first game, they solved this by having different levels of strikes. Like there was the level 14 version, the level 16 version, the level 20 version. Right. And in this, there isn't that. It's just the one stock power level that's like 160 or whatever it is. And so like there's no reason for me to play strikes, and that bums me out, because like I haven't even seen all of them yet, because there's been no reason for me to play them. And it feels like that's something that Like, if you're only going to have 4 strikes, fine. That sucks, but fine. But find another way to make them more interesting. Make the enemy spawns a little bit more different every time. Make, the final boss different. Like, have 3 or 4 different final bosses that you're leading to, or different variations of the same final boss. Something that, as a non-game developer, I think wouldn't be as hard as making a totally brand new strike.
Right.
At least finding ways to make it different every time. Like, that's something, like, when you're talking about the raid, that sounds cool. Like, the fact that the order changes.
Yeah.
For people that are going to be grinding this every single week, that sounds amazing. That sounds like a great change to keep that content fresh for as long as possible. I wish they would have done that with the other content.
Yeah, me too. I really wish the numbers were still going up, because as soon as the numbers stopped going up, I began to see the end of my time with Destiny.
Sure.
And the other thing is, even though the numbers are going up, I don't feel any more powerful. Like, it still takes the same amount of hits to kill an enemy with a gun as the beginning of the game. Like, it's no different.
It's really just a number, and it matters for some things. Like, it matters for the Nightfall, it matters for the raid, but for the general content, going from power level 265 to 268 means nothing.
Right.
But speaking of getting bored with Destiny, potentially, this was going to be in the news segment, but I feel like it makes sense to talk about now. So, Bungie has announced that they're doing what they're calling a faction rally. So it starts September 26th. The week you're listening to this, and it lasts for a week from Tuesday to Tuesday. And the point of this is the 3 factions return from Destiny 1: Dead Orbit, Future War Cult, and New Monarchy. And what everybody needs to do in the game is you align yourself with one of those factions, and then everything you're doing in the game, where you normally get tokens for the world, tokens for the armorer, so like doing public events, doing strikes, playing in the multiplayer, instead of getting those tokens, and to be fair, you may still get those tokens, but in addition to that regular stuff, you're also building reputation for your faction that you've chosen. And at the end of the week, the winning faction gets a quote-unquote powerful weapon. And so, like, Dead Orbit has a scout rifle, Future War Cult has a pulse rifle, and New Monarchy has an automatic sidearm. And so the winning faction, their weapon will be available. If you chose the winning faction, you get that weapon for 1,000 glimmer. If you did not choose that faction, it's 50,000 glimmer. Little bit of a difference there. So this, for me, like...
But there's still not enough things to use glimmer on, so even if it's 50,000, it's like, whatever.
You're right. Even with as much infusion and stuff as I'm doing, I never have, like, less than 90,000 glimmer. Yes, you're definitely right. But the point of bringing this up now is, like, so... We're talking about Destiny already feeling a little bit boring with doing the same types of things over and over again. This doesn't necessarily fix that problem. You're still doing the same things, but it at least is giving you another reason to do those things. So, and Destiny, when they had a lot of these kinds of community events, not all of them were super successful. A lot of them were themed around holidays. So, like, they had a little Christmas thing. They had a Valentine's Day thing that was centered around the multiplayer. They had, like, the Sparrow Racing, which I thought was complete garbage. So, like, a lot of the stuff they did in the first game, to me, wasn't super successful, but at least, like, they are finding new ways to make you want to play the game and do the same types of things. So, I think, like, it's a positive step. And the fact that they're bringing this already when the game's only been out for a number of weeks, hopefully is a sign that this will be a regular thing. I don't know if they're going to have an event every week. That's probably overkill. But if it's like every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, and varying the kinds of events, that sounds fun. And I'm sure the faction rallies will come back at some point in the near future, and it will go through the same process again. And they'll have different weapons that you can get if your faction wins. So, like, I don't know. It's another excuse to play the game, which to me is only a positive.
Yeah, I mean, that's... a really big thing that what am I trying to say? So in MMOs, something that keeps the community playing the game and keeps the game alive is the development studio's ability to throw fun events and fun challenges as a way to shake up the normalcy of running dungeons and stuff. in this case raids and strikes, and as long as they could keep that up, like every other week there's something going on, or every couple of weeks, I feel like that will help draw people back into the game, keep the player base high, and keep people from migrating to any of the other fall releases, because they're going to lose a lot of people when Call of Duty and Star Wars Battlefront 2 come out. Like, they're going to lose people, but if they can continue to showcase fun events and things, those people are going to come back for those fun events.
Yeah, if they're not coming back every single week or every single time there is an event, they will at least come back occasionally in that event.
Right.
Which is, I mean, that's probably how I will operate. Like, I don't imagine myself playing Destiny a couple times a week in a couple of weeks. I'm sure I'll, like, maybe check in once a week from that point forward. But if there is some kind of special event
or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. If there is some kind of special event that's encouraging me to, like, give me another reason, that only makes me want to stick around and play the game longer and more frequently. So,
yeah,
cool that they're already launching this kind of thing. We'll see what kind of events they have in the future. So, now that we've yet again talked about Destiny 2 for 40 minutes, what else have you been playing?
So I did go through and properly mod Fallout 4. I don't know that I talked about this last podcast. I don't think I had.
We talked about that you were doing mods through the Steam Workshop.
Right. So now I properly went through and did Nexus mods, and added a ton of stuff.
Oh yeah. What's your Lord Order look like? How many mods do you have installed?
Oh God.
Are you over 100?
You know what? I can pull it up though.
Oh man, if you're not over 100, that's weak sauce.
I know, but like gosh, yeah. Don't ask me next time. You know what game I want. The annoying thing though is I have to use Fallout 4 script extender because there's a mod that's floating health bars. So above and NPCs and enemies, they're like floating health bars color coded to their level of aggression to me, and that's just really helpful for. Because that game gets really dark sometimes, and it's easy to like lose enemies in like how dark it looks, especially with all the extra stuff that I have going on. So the health bars help me keep track of where they are and also kind of what state they're in, which is super helpful. All right, where's the load order here? The load order is probably like in the actual game, isn't it?
I mean, you'd be able to look at it in like Nexus Mod Manager, or did you download any like load order managers?
I did not.
So that would tell you too. Something like boss or loot, I think, is the other one.
I probably have like, it looks, without counting them, it looks like I have 35 to 40 mods installed right now.
That number needs to go up, bruh.
I know. I've been watching MXR's videos, and a couple of the mods that I found from his old videos, because I've watched all of them and typed down the ones that I wanted, which is a very long list. Some of them I could not find anymore, like they are no longer on there, and other ones through the Nexus Mod Manager, the downloads weren't working anymore. So whatever site they're hosted through is no longer functioning. So that kind of limited. I'd say about half the ones I wanted actually worked, which was a bummer. But I have quite a few mods, and it's a good time. I have the most important mod is Hot Mama Murphy. She's looking good now, man. She's young. She's ready to mingle. Hot Mama Murphy. I thought that was a pretty funny one, and it kind of it changes her voice a little bit too. She's less like and like more youthful sounding, which it's just a really funny thing to put in there. So, because she's like, "Hey, get me some Jet." No, whatever. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll get you some Jet." All right. Because before I was like, "Ew, homeless lady, get away from me!" Like,
right.
So it totally changes my relationship with the game. So I threw a bunch of different mods and stuff on there, and I've been enjoying them. And I also. So, the Creator Club, they've added a couple new things, and they've also had like rolling deals. Like every week, there's like one mod is free. So I got the Prey suit for free. I got the horse armor for free, which they did make that free because so that's good that they went ahead and made that one free for a while.
Well, who knows if it'll stay free.
Yeah. There was another one that was free, but the modular backpack, arguably the best one on there right now, was on sale. So I went ahead and I picked up $8 worth of credits, and I got the modular backpack because I wanted to check it out. And that looked like a really cool mod, and I wanted to like support that mod author. And it is really, really cool. Like the all the customization options and stuff in the game. I feel like that was money reasonably well spent. It was like $2 when I bought it. So, and there's some other stuff on sale. I got something else. There's another thing for free right now. Oh, it's the chrome armor, the chrome power armor paint.
Oh, okay, just the paint.
Yeah, which looks pretty cool. Like it's like really, really shiny silver. It's still like a little dingy looking because it's still Fallout 4, but it is like that bright chrome. And I haven't been able to pop in because my script extender hasn't been updated yet to the new runtime. I haven't been able to pop in and see if it has an effect because it says something in the flavor text of the mod about something, you'll be able to do this more or be able to run farther or something. So odds are that chrome, it does give you a buff if you have it on all your pieces. So I want to check that out. One of the mods I have is 50 Ways to Die at Dr. Nick's. That mod is fucking amazing. It adds like a new store, this new building where there are 50 different ways that you will die, like interacting with stuff. And it's all like really on the nose, like really, really funny humor with like the way the items are named. Like there's a cigarette machine that's like totally, and then in smear quotes, normal cigarette machine, or like this cigarette machine will totally not kill you. And like that's how things are named in the shop. And you go through and there's like some light puzzle solving and stuff. And then you get all these like crazy quests where at the end of it you become like a superhero, and you get the superhero outfit that's really overpowered but looks hilarious. And you go on like this little heist raid thing with a really funny host of characters. And it was written well. It was really entertaining. You get access to a really cool layer at the end of it that's stocked with a bunch of stuff, and like a special shop that has rare weapon sales and stuff. So that one I would really highly recommend because it had a lot of surprises along the way. Like there were parts of it there were characters, I don't want to say them because the joke is the name, but I thought it was like another mod that was happening at the same time as my Dr. Nick's quest, but then it turned out to be a part of it, and it was a really fun reveal. But yeah, so I'm just having still a really good time with it. You know, I still haven't done any Sim Settlement stuff because I've been running around messing with all these new weapons. I got like a couple more modern weapons, like an automatic shotgun and stuff like that are. Did you start a new game? Powerful. I did, and I'm already like level 30 something.
Oh wow. Yeah, because that's what I did as well when I put in my mods on PS4, and obviously I have way fewer mods, and they're not as cool as the ones available on PC, but I think I'm at like level 14 or 15 maybe, so I'm still like fairly early. I haven't been playing it that often. Okay. Just because I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2. And like hearing you talk about it, like I want to go play more Fallout 4 right now. Yeah. But it's like once I'm in the game again, I still love it. I still loved that game so much more than a lot of other people did. But it's like I have already played it, and it isn't that different with the new stuff that I have. Sure. So that will always and forever bum me out. But one day when I feel like my PC can handle it, I will get Fallout 4 on PC and be able to do all the modding I want to do on it.
Yeah, for sure. It's because on PC, that's where you get all like the really good quest mods and stuff. That add a bunch of really fun content. So
all like you need to get all the followers with the giant cans.
Right.
That's what I really want.
I do have, because in Dr. Nick's, it gives you a new dog follower who is controlled with a whistle. So, like, you can summon it to you with a whistle or send it back to Dr. Nick's with the whistle, and it doesn't count as an extra follower. And I also have a mod that makes dog meat not count as a follower, so I can have a person or robot or whatever. I'm using Codsworth right now. Dog meat and this other dog. Yeah, so I have 3 running around, which when I ride an elevator gets a little crowded, but it's still
I did
fun.
that
and then
I was just going to say I did that in Skyrim too. There was a mod, and I'm sure there's one for Fallout 4 that allows you to have multiple followers. I think it's just called like multiple follower mod, at least it was in Skyrim. And so I had like Lydia and 2 or 3 other followers that I got from mods, and then I just cranked the difficulty up to, I guess it would have been expert because I wouldn't want to play on master. That sounds like not a fun time. But then it just, everything becomes chaos because like it's not you versus 10 guys, it's 5 guys versus 20 guys, because I also have mods that populate more enemies, and that's always a fun time. Not great for your frame rate, but a good time.
And that's some of the stuff in the Dr. Nick's thing. It was really killing my frame rate.
That happens to me on the PS4 version. Like, my frame rate is garbage. And it's like, I haven't even installed that many things. There is one mod, or a couple of mods, that all do similar things that open up a lot of the houses and buildings in the towns. So instead of it being a bunch of, like, blocked doors, they actually turn those into areas. And most of them are behind load screens, so you wouldn't think it would affect the frame rate. But when I'm in those big areas, and it might just be, the game never ran great on PS4 anyway, but it might be a combination of that, and I don't know if I have any other mods that would affect it. Maybe I do have a visual mod that makes everything a little bit more green, so maybe that affects it too. But the frame rate is real bad at times, and that it kind of kills the fun. It's like when you're playing a first-person shooter and the frame rate is like 15, makes it a little hard to play.
Yeah, that's what turned me off of Fallout 4 on PS4. Like, just vanilla, regular Fallout 4 is I was getting frame drops after like 20 hours of playing, and then I was, fuck this, I'm just getting on PC. But yeah, so been playing more of that, and I started playing Wolfenstein: The Old Blood because I beat the New Order, so I want to replay Old Blood before New Colossus comes out. And I'm replaying it for the first time since it released, because I played it on PS4 a long time ago. And I think I beat it on PS4, but I had it on PC for a while, and I just had never gotten around to playing it. So playing that again, it's a shooter that feels good to shoot in. And that's kind of all I've been playing. It's kind of Fallout 4, Destiny 2, and Wolfenstein.
The only other thing that I've still been plugging away was Final Fantasy 12. I'll play for like an hour a week. So it's, I'll end up beating the game by like next October. But whenever I am bored or like am up behind on a podcast, it's still just a perfect game to throw on, put it on ×2 speed, lower the volume, and listen to the Bombcast for an hour and a half. So
Right. And Kara's still playing Kingdom Hearts. I think she's about to go into Hollow Bastion.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's her first time through the game, so that's.
I should replay that. I have the HD. I played through the HD remix when it came out on PS3, but I have the Kingdom Hearts 2 HD remix that I don't even know if I've ever unwrapped it. So I should play that at some point.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to beating the first one, and then I think I'm about to go into Monstro, so I'm a little bit behind her, but I'm excited to beat the first one and then go back into 2, because it's been a long time since I played 2.
Same.
Yeah. And I've just been watching, because I finished season 12 of Supernatural, so now I've just been kind of watching some different animes that I'm behind on. I found out there are 3 animes. It's Bleach, Fairy Tail, and One Piece that I have like 400 episodes to catch up on.
Dear Lord.
And they're still going. So that's a nightmare. And they're also, so One Piece is more so this way than the other ones, but they're that like Saturday morning cartoon where barely anything happens.
Yeah.
And that's really frustrating, and
yeah,
it's not the best. And the other, like, if they had English dub, I would put it on my second monitor while I played games.
Sure.
But Crunchyroll doesn't have English dub, so I have to be actively watching it. Yeah, with the subtitles. And that, so it's like, oh man, it's a slog. But yeah, so just doing more of that.
That's a big reason why I never got into Dragon Ball Z as a kid. Like, I remember my friends in like junior high and then in high school always talked about DBZ all the time and how much they loved the show growing up. And I was just like, it's a waste of time. Like, I get it. It's fun and over the top and crazy, but like fucking nothing happens on that show. I would rather watch so many other things.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been reading a lot because at work that's what I do on my lunch break. So I finished Red Country by Joe Abercrombie, and I just started In Cold Blood by him as well. And then I have another one by him. Is this
a series?
Yeah. So he did it's the First Law, Last Argument of Kings, Until They Are Hanged. It's a trilogy, the First Law trilogy by him, and then he wrote 3 other standalone books in the same universe that have tie-ins with characters from the main story.
Okay.
And Red Country was really good because it had my favorite character from the main story in it. And then I'm reading In Cold Blood, and it has another like really like a tertiary character from the main story, who has ties to the guy that I really like. So like some of his thought processes are in reference to him and like what he did to him and stuff.
What's the elevator pitch for this series? What is this about? Like give me like a 30-second, like, what is this about? I'm assuming it's a fantasy series.
It is. It's like, it's fantasy. There is some magic, but like magic in the world is waning, so there are only a few people who are still around that know how to use it. And there are like great works from ancient civilizations in the past and yada yada. And I don't know if, because the other series I read by Mark Lawrence, it was unabashedly post-apocalypse, like medieval after the apocalypse, and there's like some magic stuff that's happening, but there's like a sci-fi reason for it that is given to the reader in like from the perspective of someone who doesn't understand any of it because they're from a medieval time period. So yeah, it's just so I don't know if that's what they're going for, if Joe Abercrombie is kind of going for the same thing, because in the main series there's a city where it's like these great steel structures and these giant stone buildings, like stories and stories high. There's a great big steel bridge, like these great works of civilizations past. And so I don't know if he's going for like a post-apocalypse kind of thing or not. He might not be. He might be just doing his own thing. But yeah, so it's, gosh, there isn't a quick 30-second pitch for it because there's just a lot going on. Like there's
what's the overarching story? What is the main character like trying to accomplish?
So there are several main characters, but there's a more mysterious central figure who the main characters flock to, or he gets them to follow him, and his objective is, I need this powerful thing because this other powerful being we don't know a lot about is trying to take over, and this is how I think I can fight him. And there's a lot of moral ambiguity in the way that this central figure goes about it. And so the characters whose perspectives you're reading from all have, their own thoughts and feelings about each other, and like that's a lot of fun. Like you'll read one chapter as a character and he'll be like, this chick's such a bitch, and then the next chapter is as her and she's like, this guy's fucking dick. And so there's a lot of that stuff.
Those direct quotes from dialogue.
Kind of, almost. Like there's a lot of swearing. It's pretty crass, like with the characters and stuff. Yeah, I don't know, and it's really brutal too.
Okay.
Like it can get pretty graphic sometimes, and not. Yeah, I don't know. I recommend it because it was a lot of fun to read. I just don't know that I have a good 30-second elevator pitch for it.
But
it's not really Game of Thrones.
Okay. I mean, because like, and this isn't meant to sound like derogatory towards it. Like, it sounds like pretty standard fantasy fiction. So for you, is it like, is this really good, or is it like it's fine, it's good, but you just like to read, and so this is the thing you're currently reading?
I think it is really good because the way he disseminates information from the perspective of each character is very smart and clever, and the pacing is really good. And while the writing is crass and pretty brutal and graphic at times, it's still good writing. Like, he's using a wide wealth of vocabulary and things, and
Okay.
the thoughts of the characters, like the inner thoughts of the characters, they're very each chapter feels very distinct from each character's perspective. Like, the characters' voices come through very clearly in his writing. Like, he's really good at that. And he's good at holding things back from the reader and revealing them at the right times. Yeah, I think, and he doesn't underestimate the reader, which I think a lot of writers do. Sure. He will drop hints along the way, but they're never like in your face, this is the answer kind of stuff. He'll drop hints, and he leaves a lot up to the reader in terms of letting us draw the connections as opposed to feeding them to us. So I think he does a nice job.
And what's the series called?
The First Law trilogy, and then there are 3 other books set in the same universe. There's In Cold Blood, Red Country. I can't read the other one. I can't read the other one. There's books in front of it on the shelf, so I can't read it. The glasses, unfortunately, don't let me see through shit. There's another one. But yeah, Joe Abercrombie, I really recommend him. Also, like I'd said before, Mark Lawrence, he wrote the Prince of Thorns trilogy, which was really, really good.
That one I've heard of. I know that was when I was working at Barnes & Noble, that was fairly popular.
Yeah, and then he's writing the Red Sister trilogy right now,
okay.
Or series. I don't know if it's a trilogy. But I have the first book of that I have not read yet, because I want to finish In Cold Blood and then whatever the next one of Joe Abercrombie's is. And then on November 14th, the 3rd Stormlight Archives book comes out, and it's probably going to be like 2,000 pages, and I'm so excited to just take a bath in the pages like dollar bills, man. Just so many pages. I love huge books like that.
I miss reading. I just don't read that often anymore. I still, like, maybe once or twice a week will read a chapter of Harry Potter at work, just as like a comfort thing.
Yeah.
But I am usually listening to a fantasy football podcast at lunch, so I'm not reading as much. And I'm like, I still have those 3 Star Wars books that like are supposed to lead up to episode 7. I still haven't read those. The Star Wars Aftermath, I think it is.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, and like I'm excited to read them. I just never actually sit down and read. I just need to commit. And once I kind of get in there, I think I'll stick with it. It's like, because I've read Harry Potter so many times, I don't feel like I need to read it ever, and so then I never do.
Sure.
So I need to start a book that I haven't read, and then I think I'll stick with it, because I miss reading. I used to love reading so much.
Yeah. It's definitely something that I hope I never lose my love for, and I don't think I will.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not lose my love for, but I hope I always have time for.
Well, yeah, I mean, when it comes to your free time, like, you choose how you use it, and so, like, you guys, much like Kelly and I, like to be more of homebodies, and so you have more time to play games and watch the shows you want to watch and read the things you want to watch. So
right.
It's all about prioritization, and even though I'm much more busy now, or I should say, objectively, I don't feel as busy now as I felt in college. Right. I actually have way less free time now, because a lot of that free time is taken up with responsibilities I didn't have in college. Because college was like school and rehearsal, and then that was it. That's all I had. And now I have like a million other things that I need to worry about as a fucking adult, and they're the worst. So like every Saturday, it's not just I have all day to do whatever I want. I have to like go to the mall and do other things that I can't think of because I'm lazy and my wife needs to make me a list. But yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, obviously I haven't been reading much, but I have been watching some additional stuff. So Kelly and I, last weekend, we wanted to have like a fun Sunday date thing. And so I've talked about this before, like the biggest thing we do to go watch movies in theaters is go to Sunday matinee showings because they're significantly cheaper. So we went and saw Wind River on Sunday, or this past Sunday, and it, for people that don't know, because I've brought this movie up to a couple people and they're like, what movie? So it stars Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen, the youngest Olsen, or the younger sister of the Olsen twins. And so Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye in Avengers, and Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch in the Avengers.
Right.
And so they're in this new movie. It takes place in Wyoming, centered around a Native American reservation where basically Jeremy Renner's character discovers a dead girl, and it seems like it's a murder. And so Elizabeth Olsen, who plays an FBI agent, comes in to try to help figure out what's going on. And like the big theme of the movie is just that it's this small community of primarily Native American residents that they have like 6 guys on their police force to cover like 400 square miles because it's all wilderness. And so it's like, how do these people solve this potential murder and know what's going on? Plus, it's a Native American reservation, so the state government has no say on what happens. So, like, there are complicated legal ramifications for what's happening. And for Jeremy Renner, like, he's not a police officer. His character, he's like a hunter. He worked for, like, I don't know what the actual department is, but basically, like, he kills predators that are hunting people's sheep or cows. Like, he goes and kills a mountain lion or a coyote or whatever. And so he's like a tracker. That's his whole thing. And so the FBI agent like brings him on to help track this potential murderer. And a lot of stuff unravels. And it's not like a super huge quote unquote mystery that you might expect in this sort of movie for it being a murder mystery. The mystery isn't as big of a piece of it. It's more like this setting and the characters in this setting. And honestly, like, the movie blew me away. I remember seeing the trailer and feeling like it looked really cool from a directorial perspective, and I was interested in it. And I also like Jeremy Renner. I feel like a lot of people don't like him for some reason.
No, plenty of people like him. I just don't like him.
Well, whatever. But like, I talked to Kelly about this, and she didn't care one way or the other before seeing this. But she described it. She was like, there's just something about him that makes me not want to like him. Like, when he's playing a hero character, there's just something about him that doesn't, like, I don't want to like him.
He looks like a
the
dick.
Same way. And maybe that's what it is. And she feels the same way about another actor who I can't think of his name right now. Shit. But it's that like unknowable aspect about a person that makes them unlikable, which holds actors back from like having the success that their talent might earn them because of just like some other random thing.
I think his eyes are dead.
Okay.
Like, I think he has dead eyes.
I don't know. I really like him. I've seen him in a lot of different stuff.
I don't trust living corpses, Shay.
All right. But this was a really phenomenal movie. I highly recommend it. It is... I haven't seen a bunch of quote-unquote dramas this year, the kind of like best picture hopeful type movies. But this to me is definitely going... I would imagine this is going to make the list of nominations for best picture. It was seriously, seriously good. So if you enjoy the kind of like drama, murder mysteries, or really you're just looking for something that's more atmospheric, it has a really, really good music to it as well. Highly recommended. Also, since it's new, we had some friends over a couple of nights ago, and they had just seen It. Are you interested in seeing It?
I never saw the original one. I don't really have... I'm not going to go to the theater to see it, you know?
Okay.
I might... If it goes onto a streaming service at some point, maybe I would watch it. Just as like another scary movie that I would watch if I was in the mood for that. I don't have any, I don't have any draw towards it. I think there are
Yeah,
some
I mean,
funny memes that have spawned from
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Because I hate horror movies. I've talked about this before. And Kelly loves horror movies, which is bullshit because she doesn't watch them. She just puts a pillow in front of her face, so she's not even watching a horror movie. But she really wants to go see it. And the only reason like I'm semi-interested, I have seen the original. I saw it when I was a little kid, and it was so terrifying. But I am interested because I've heard like really good things about it. Like it's actually a good movie, and it isn't even like it doesn't fall into the similar American horror movie trap of just being a bunch of jump scares. That it's more like a thriller almost, which makes me more interested because I just hate horror movies. I hate being scared. So I don't know. And I've also heard that if you're gonna see it, it needs to be in the theater because the big picture, the surround sound really helps sell the experience.
Sure.
So I don't know, man. Kelly's obviously really pushing me to try to go see this in the next couple of weeks, so maybe next episode I will have seen it, and that scares me. Also, update on our watching of The Leftovers. So we finished the first season, and it was super good. I still love that show. It's a tragedy that it never got the critical attention that I think it deserved. Because it's so like, and I described kind of the setting before, but for anybody that missed it or doesn't remember, basically like the quote unquote rapture happens and 100 million some people just disappear and nobody knows why, where they went. And the show takes place 3 years later. And so the whole thing is about characters just like living with that knowledge that this thing happened that is completely unexplainable, and they will never potentially understand why it happened, and just like you have to go back to your regular life. And also our main character is dealing with some like psychological issues where he's hearing voices and seeing people that don't exist, that kind of thing. But it's really just like a character study of this family and some other characters just like living their lives in this like almost post-apocalyptic scenario, basically. And so we started season 2, and it's like a completely new show. It's really fucking weird. They changed the setting of the show because it took place in like a small town in New York City. And so the second season takes place in a town in Texas, I think it is. And the whole thing of it is this town, when this quote-unquote rapture happened, no one from their town was taken. And so for them, it's like, we're a perfect town, nobody like left, and that's a good thing for our town. So that town has become a national park, and so like tourists come to visit the town and like drink the water because they think it's holy, and like pray at the church because they think it's special.
Weird.
So these characters, to like get away from their lives, and something really dramatic happens at the end of season 1 as well that they like want to escape from. So they move to this new town and they introduce a new family. Like the main characters are still there too, but they introduce a new family that are the neighbors, and so we learn more about them. We're only, I think, 2, maybe 3 episodes in, so like it's still like unraveling what's happening, but the show now feels like it's more about this town and like figuring out the mystery of this town. And it's just really weird. Like it feels like a completely different show. And it reminds me of another Damon Lindelof joint, Lost, where like there was this phenomenal first season where they set up this really cool scenario and there's all this mystery, and then in season 2 they're like, instead of addressing all that, let's introduce a bunch of different mysteries.
Right.
And it's like really jarring and feels like not the direction I wanted the show to go in. And that's kind of how I'm feeling about Leftovers right now. I have no idea where it goes from here, but there are also several significant characters from season 1 who, at least at this point, aren't in season 2 because they're not in this new town. So it's like, how is that gonna work out? I don't know. I'm just confused. We watched the first 2 episodes and we're like, other than the fact that like the 3 main characters are still the 3 main characters, this literally feels like a completely different show. And it was quite weird. Not sure of the logic behind that, but makes me a little scared because this show only went 3 seasons and the 3rd season was short. And the fact that like it didn't get a ton of critical reception, like it's not the kind of drama that a bunch of people were always talking about, makes me a little scared that maybe it isn't good from this point forward, because I'm not in love with it right now in the season first part of season 2. But we have paid through HBO Now through the middle of October, and we're cutting ourselves off at that point. We don't want to pay $15 a month anymore. So we have, at this point, like 2.5 weeks to watch through the rest of The Leftovers. So hopefully, like, or at least by the next podcast, hopefully we've at least like finished season 2 and I can have a little bit more thoughts there. We've also been watching Food Network Star and So You Think You Can Dance, which are just our like Friday night, we're just hanging out shows. And I just like, and I've talked about this before, but these like quote unquote reality shows that are competition shows, I look at these as being so different than something like The Voice or American Idol or like America's Got Talent, where those shows are like about the drama and about weird shit, and they just feel, I don't know. Those shows to me, no interest. Those are terrible shows. Something like So You Think You Can Dance, something like Food Network Star, which is about chefs, obviously. It's about the talent of the people. Like, it's these phenomenal dancers that are going to dance. And on Food Network Star, it's about these phenomenal cooks who are going to cook. And the best cook is going to win. The best dancer is going to win. It's not who can, like, bullshit the biggest, or, like, what a random mean comment they say is, or what the off-screen drama is between the two hosts. It's, like, about the talent of the people. And those are the kinds of shows I like. Also, being a very competitive person, it's fun to watch competition shows. So You Think You Can Dance, the finale airs this week. I'm really excited to see what happens. I'm also a little bit nervous because I think the guy that's going to win, I don't think is that good. And I think he's only gotten this far because 14-year-old girls and 40-year-old women fucking love him. And that is annoying because he's a salsa dancer. He's got the whole like hipster hot guy look. And he isn't even that good at dancing. And it fucking makes me mad. I don't want to go on a rant about So You Think You Can Dance, but yeah.
Yeah, please don't.
So what about you? Has there been anything else going on before we jump into news?
I just like, fall play at the high school is in full swing, and so we do not have a set designer anymore, so I am designing the set. So I bought myself a sketch notebook, and I was sketching out some set designs.
Fancy.
So I have a few of those. I have a top-down view, I have a front-facing view, and I have an isometric view.
Nice.
To play with some perspective there. So I can show my co-director, and she's like, I wish I could draw. And I'm looking at my drawings like, me too. You and me both.
As long as like you get what you need out of it, it doesn't matter if it's pretty.
Yeah, and like this is not my skill set, designing the whole set and everything, so hopefully it comes together okay, but we'll see.
Yeah,
if not,
if
just
nothing else,
comedy.
it's a good experience.
Yeah, totally.
Sure. Okay, so diving into some additional news of the past 2 weeks. So TGS happened during the break, and there's not like a ton of stuff to talk about from that. There rarely is, but Sony had a little presser, and they did make a couple of announcements. So Square Enix has a new game called Left Alive that is being made with people that have worked on the Metal Gear Solid series, specifically the guy who did all the character and mech designs. They have people from the Armored Core games, which were like mech combat games, Xenoblade Chronicles, which is a JRPG, and then the Gundam games, which is obviously like an action game series with mechs. And so you can check out the trailer online. Again, the game's called Left Alive. It is described as a survival action shooter, which fucking means nothing. Like, that's just putting words together and creating a genre. But they showed a tiny bit of what appears to be gameplay, and it's like a third-person shooter, and I'm sure you'll also be playing as mechs at times. It didn't do a ton for me. They obviously didn't show that much, but like the heavy MGS influence is definitely there.
Yeah.
And as we've said before, that's not really a series I'm particularly interested in. Did you have any like feelings about this one way or the other, Kyle?
I think it looks exactly like Metal Gear Solid 5, which was my least favorite Metal Gear Solid game. I think it was a fine, like mechanically it was fun to play, but everything else about that game sucked. So it still kind of has a sour taste in my mouth left after that.
Yeah.
And so like looking at this where I think it's a Front Mission game, because Front Mission is another mech series. I think this is based on the Front Mission universe, or it's rumored to be. I think maybe that's just like a community theory. I read that. I don't remember where I read that, but so I've never played a Front Mission game. I've never even played an Armored Core game, so I have no idea. I'm not a really big mech kind of guy either.
Same.
Like that was like in Metal Gear Solid 4, when you're in Metal Gear, and like you're fighting the other Metal Gear, like conceptually it's cool, but it's not fun. Like I don't, those kinds of games aren't all that fun to me, and you know, some people are into it, but that's not for me. And it just looks like another probably average third-person shooter with light stealth elements. So
I mean, we'll see once they begin showing more gameplay. But again, Left Alive, you can check that out on YouTube or wherever you want to watch the video. There was an announcement trailer, which is more like a style trailer, and then there was another trailer that showed a little bit more gameplay, and that is said to be releasing in 2018 on PS4. Additionally, you can buy Final Fantasy IX on PS4 right now if you want it. And I might actually do that this weekend. I don't know how much it is. That'll kind of impact my decision making because I do have it on PS3. But they have brought the PC port of Final Fantasy IX to PS4. So it has, you know, a slight graphical upgrade, not a lot of stuff. It has like little quality of life improvements and also like trophy support. So more of a public service announcement. But Final Fantasy IX is one of the more underrated Final Fantasy games in my opinion. And a big improvement over Final Fantasy VIII. So if you haven't played it, easy to play on PS4.
You get to fight a T-Rex in Final Fantasy VIII, man.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VIII gets a lot of undue hate. There are very few Final Fantasy games that are actively bad.
Sure.
Final Fantasy 15 is one of them. But yeah. Final Fantasy IX, it is really good. I consider Final Fantasy IX and Final Fantasy 12 to be like the two most underrated games in that series. So definitely recommend checking that out if you like the old school JRPG kind of stuff. Kyle, do you want to take the next couple of these? You kind of found these stories.
Sure. So Doom, the 2016 hit shooter, is coming out on Nintendo Switch, which is really weird. That is not a game that like... Nintendo and Doom, not exactly synonymous, but you know,
their whole like family-friendly shtick.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, you know, Doom runs on the Switch because Doom can run on everything. That's the big joke is you could get. There are people who have the original Doom game running on like a TI-86 graphic calculator. So of course the new Doom could run on the Switch. But what they did. In order to get it to fit, because it's a pretty big file, so people were worried they were gonna like charge more for a bigger cartridge and stuff like that. The campaign is on the 16 gig cart, and the multiplayer is a separate 9 gigabyte download. Also, some of the textures and things have been reduced. A lot of like the lighting effects and the high resolution stuff have been downscaled to save on space and for performance, and it is locked 30 frames a second. Which is a bummer.
So that's the big piece for me is it being at 30 FPS. Because, I mean, I'm not like a frame rate whore necessarily between 30 and 60 and unlocked and etc. I'm not part of that PC master race that needs everything to run at 120 frames. But in Doom, with as fast as that game is, it will be noticeable 30 between 60. So that is definitely a little bit of a bummer. With the multiplayer download, can you decide not to download that then? Like if you don't want to play the multiplayer?
I don't know. I presumably.
I would hope so.
I don't know for sure.
Because like
I know
the multiplayer wasn't good.
If you buy it digitally, it comes as one big download though.
Okay.
So maybe not. I'm not sure.
I would hope that's the case. Like because I do not recommend playing the multiplayer. I did not find it to be particularly interesting or fun. But the single player campaign is obviously, to me, like it was worth the price of admission alone when I went through and played it. So
yeah,
that's
for
cool.
Sure. So like this is, you know, and having Doom on the go is kind of a neat thing.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and like so, you know, the more, you know, understandably, performance is going to be a little lower, visuals are going to be a little lower, but having, you know, the potential to play these bigger AAA releases on the go, like that's a pretty cool thing, especially for people who have long like bus or train commutes to work. This is a really neat way for them to be able to get some time in with those games. Also, Fractured But Whole has gone gold and is officially confirmed for October 17th. So they released a trailer that's like no more delays.
Yeah, it's a nice, very it is self-referential.
Yes. Yeah. As of course it would be. Yeah, October 17th confirmed. Fractured Butthole, no more delays.
Super pumped for this game.
Yeah, I know you're really excited about it. So thankfully, you actually get to play it in October. Also, Rockstar on Twitter, they tweeted out an image that said like Red Dead Redemption, and then it said Thursday the 28th at 11 a.m. So I don't know what's going on with that. They released an image, like a couple images of something teasing a Red Dead Redemption 2. So this could either be that, or it could be Red Dead Redemption officially coming to PC finally. I don't know. Or it could be maybe something along the lines of both of those announcements. But
that would probably be pretty underwhelming if it was just like, hey, the first game's coming to PC. Like, it'd be cool if it did, but because we know Red Dead Redemption 2 is happening and people are, like, starving for news, that would be a bummer.
Yeah.
And they also, I don't know, I don't think they had ever set a release date, but I remember the rumor was that it was going to make it out in 2017.
Oh.
And they came out and said they're aiming for spring 2018. So, there's that range. Who knows if they'll stick to that? I would not think so, because they tend to take their times with games, but maybe we'll get more info on the 28th, or maybe it's just a new trailer.
But I mean, Rockstar's been silent for a long time. All they've been doing is like adding small things to GTA Online for like the past couple years. So
that's true.
They've had a long time.
But they have been supporting that with a lot, like especially when they brought GTA 5 to PS4. Like they had that first-person mode. They added a ton of stuff to multiplayer.
Yeah, that
like,
stuff
they're
only
still
takes
doing
a small
work.
team though, and Rockstar's a big studio.
Guess. I just know like GTA 5 multiplayer still makes them a ton of money.
Yeah.
So I imagine at least a portion of the studio is still regularly focusing on that.
Right.
I have never played Red Dead Redemption, so I should probably get around to that at some point.
Yeah, and like also seeing what they've managed to do with GTA Online, being able to do that kind of stuff, but in Red Dead Redemption, would be pretty sweet.
For sure.
But yeah, so something happening with that Thursday the 28th at 11 a.m. Keep your eyes on Twitter. Also, Steam review bombing has been a really big problem lately. Like groups of people getting together and releasing bad reviews for games on Steam because the publisher or developer does something or says something they don't agree with, or they want to be little assholes and just be jerks about it.
Just the internet's the fucking worst.
Yeah,
man. People are the worst.
Yeah, people are all children for their entire lives. Steam is now implementing review histograms, so it's a graphical breakdown of how the reviews have changed over time for a game. So if you click on a game that says like mixed reviews, you can click on that and see, well, was it always mixed, or was there a recent update that broke it that they're gonna fix, or something else? So you can now see the history. Oops, bumped my mic. You can now see the history of those Steam reviews, which is an okay way to counter that. It's still not like the best fix in the world, but
yeah, to me, it's something. Yeah, but who's gonna do that? Really, like who? Okay, the problem is like thinking about your target audience. So they have this piece in place where a theoretically intelligent consumer will see, oh, a lot of reviews for this game are bad recently. Let me go in and check why they're bad recently. That kind of person, I would think, probably has already heard about whatever drama is happening with that game because they're already plugged into the gaming culture. Like, I don't think this solves the problem for a random on Steam who plays a couple games a year and is randomly checking out a new thing and like, oh yeah, oh, but wait, it has a 50%. Weird. Like the Rotten Tomatoes audience, those people that don't understand that Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregate review site and not like, oh, this movie has a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. Fuck you, Rotten Tomatoes. This movie was good. Your review sucks. The people like that are the people that are looking at these Steam reviews for recommendations. Those clearly are not the types of people that are going to take that extra step of effort to learn why. I just don't see how this really solves the problem.
Yeah, and it doesn't, but it's
better than nothing.
Yeah, it's better than nothing. Like, it will mitigate some of the damage of those things.
The bigger thing to me is like you need to find a way to attack this review bombing at its source. Like, I understand it's the internet. They don't want to, like, not allow people to share their opinions. But if someone, I don't know, they have so many automated systems of finding cheaters and scammers and all this other stuff. There has to be a way to implement a system to not allow someone to write a review if they have written a bunch of reviews that only have 2 words in them, or
right.
if someone reviews 10 games in the matter of a day and gives them all 0 out of 10. Like, there has to be some way to cut back on this shit. But this, I mean, it's not unique to Steam. Like, this is a problem with online public reviews in general, and just the mentality of how people think about this thing. Like, if you're going to write a review, it's going to be because something pissed you off. You're never going to write a review for something that is, like, good to okay. Maybe you'll write a review if something was totally outstanding.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of time, you're going to take the time to put out your thoughts is when you want to vent or rant about something. And that takes away the entire point of public reviews. I, for one, put 0 stock into what an aggregate human culture says about a thing. A specific person's opinion or a critic's opinion, someone that I can trust, totally. But, like, this is why you go to Rotten Tomatoes and see that, like, critics have this movie at 40%. The public has this movie at 80%. I don't give a fuck what the public thinks about something. The public are morons.
As someone who is part of the public, I can confirm we are morons.
So yeah, and, like, obviously I'm shitting on this a lot, but it is a positive step. It is something, and I'm glad they're at least taking this step. I hope they find a better solution, is my point.
Yeah, me too. And, you know, whether that's they have a team of people who are rolling through all the most recent reviews just to quality check them, maybe that's something, but I still don't know. I don't know what the fix is other than euthanize all people.
Yeah, not a terrible idea.
People are the problem.
Yeah, totally. Yep. And the internet just brings out the worst.
Correct.
In the worst people.
As it turns out, so do swords. But internet, just as bad.
Internet is the modern sword.
Yeah, that's right. Internet's sharper than the sword.
Yeah, it's no longer the pen is mightier than the sword. It's the keyboard,
keyboard.
is
Yep.
mightier than the sword. So switching over to movie news, Colin Trevorrow is no longer directing Star Wars Episode 9. So
right.
Originally the plan was J.J. Abrams, Episode 7, Rian Johnson, Episode 8, Colin Trevorrow, Episode 9. And if you're not familiar with Colin Trevorrow, he directed Jurassic World, and he's doing the next Jurassic World movie, the sequel as well. He's been
Jurassic
ousted.
Universe.
Yeah. He's been, I don't know, technically fired, I suppose. The movie was in, like, pre-production, so. But there's a lot of, like, behind-the-scenes drama, a lot of people saying things that may or may not be true. But the bigger takeaway is that he's no longer doing this. J.J. Abrams is now directing Star Wars Episode 9, which was kind of like the obvious choice. Once Colin Trevorrow was ousted, people were like, well, who's it going to be? Like, will maybe Rian Johnson stick around for another one? Like, could they get Spielberg to come back and do one? Like, what are all these other options? And it's just kind of like the obvious choice that, yes, J.J. Abrams will do it. He's been overseeing the Star Wars universe now, so it makes sense for him to do it.
Yeah.
I have 2 fears about this. I think J.J. Abrams is a very good director, and especially when it comes to building a world. But I was very disappointed in the story of Episode 7. I'm curious to see what happens with Episode 8, because that story was built by J.J. Abrams with other people from Disney and LucasArts, etc. So it's not all on J.J. Abrams, the way that the story went. I thought as a movie, directorially, it was good. I'm curious to see Episode 8 under the tutelage of Rian Johnson, because I think he's a very visionary director. His movies are very unique. He directed Looper, for anybody that isn't familiar with his work. Really cool sci-fi movie. But I'm worried that there might be a little bit of a weird flow where like we get J.J. Abrams' take, then Ryan Johnson's will almost assuredly be a bit different than what J.J. Abrams did, and then we're getting J.J. Abrams again. So instead of it being like 3 different directors giving us similar yet slightly different takes on this world, it's like one guy, then another guy, then the first guy again. And I just feel like that might make episode 8 feel a little bit outside of the other 2, because it will be the only one that was different. And like, I'm just like, these are just random fears. I'm like, there's no like real evidence to support this.
Yeah.
It's just, that was my initial reaction.
You're afraid of the
That
JJ
said,
sandwich.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I'm afraid of the JJ sandwich. So, I mean, that said, the only Colin Trevorrow movie I've seen was Jurassic World. He also directed Safety Not Guaranteed, which I heard was like a cool, weird, kind of a dark comedy, whatever. Mark Duplass is in it. But I haven't seen that, so I can't speak to that movie. Jurassic World was fine. It was a summer blockbuster action movie. I didn't think it was particularly great. Chris Pratt kind of carried it with his charm.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not like I'm sad he's not directing episode 9, because there was nothing to make me really love his stuff. And at least I know that J.J. Abrams has a very strong track record. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the story was more about the drama or supposed drama. I don't really give a shit about that because I don't know what happened. But yeah, J.J. Abrams back for episode 9. We'll see. I'm incredibly excited for episode 8. The trailer that they put out looks amazing.
Yes,
and I like
it
Ryan
does.
Johnson. I hope that they don't try to bring back Starkiller Base again.
Oh,
that
man.
that would make me so sad. That would feel even more like
No way.
a rehash of the original trilogy.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
2 other trailers that released recently. There's a trailer for the new Tomb Raider movie starring Alicia Vikander, phenomenal actress. Not super like an action movie star, so I'm curious to see her kind of carry this. The trailer itself, the story seems heavily inspired by the recent video game reboot by Crystal Dynamics, which I think is just like a smart choice. That was a really good movie, very strong character for Lara Croft. It was no longer like the tits and ass version that we got in the 90s.
Right.
So it's more grounded. I like that aspect. The trailer itself feels super generic. It feels like a video game movie. Like a lot of the dialogue wasn't good.
Nope.
It reminds me of the trailers for Assassin's Creed, where it was like I want this to be good. There are talented people involved in this, but it just doesn't look good. And as I spoke about Assassin's Creed several episodes ago, that movie was fucking hot garbage. Hot, steaming garbage. This doesn't look as bad, but I mean, I have very low expectations. I will say as an aside, Walton Goggins, who people may know as playing Venus on Sons of Anarchy, and I talked about him last episode because he's in Vice Principals, a show I'm watching on HBO. He plays the villain in this. Fucking love Walton Goggins, so I will go see this specifically for Walton Goggins, but I don't have super high hopes.
Yeah, I don't think that the main actress feels like, I don't know, like from the trailer, she just didn't feel like a good Lara.
Any specific reason behind that?
She doesn't seem like she can get mean enough.
Okay.
You know?
And you're just basing that on like other stuff she's done?
Well, no, like I'm basing it off the trailer. Like I don't know that I've seen
Okay.
her in anything, but like during the action
you didn't see Ex
segments-
Machina?
No. But like during the
You need
action
to see Ex
segments and
Machina.
stuff where she's like, you know, she gets to do with the ice pick and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It seems like she shouldn't be doing those things.
Okay.
You know, cuz like
You just don't. You don't buy her.
I don't
as
buy
a
her
character.
as Lara because like the new Lara that they made in the newer Tomb Raider games, right? She's younger, right? It's like you said, no longer the TNA. She's more.
I mean, she's still
more
a
of
super hot British
yeah,
chick.
but she's more
yeah.
of a real person.
Yes.
And they try to justify in the games, you know, her doing all of these horrible murderous things and like, you know, wiping out this entire platoon of guys. And it seems like they're keeping that in the movie, like her actually murdering a bunch of people, but I don't buy her as someone who could kill someone. You know what I mean?
Okay. I could see that. Yeah.
And maybe that's something that's fleshed out more in the actual movie. I just like maybe there's some character development that happens there. I don't know that I would buy her doing those things.
Right.
Yeah. So it felt
I'm sure.
weird.
And I mean, I could be totally wrong, but for me, this movie is like definitely a wait and see. Like if it comes out and reviews are really positive, I'll go see it. I'm gonna watch it no matter what. But if it comes out and reviews aren't great, it'll be a red box in like 6 months when I'm bored one weekend. I still will want to see it, but man, Assassin's Creed was so bad. Like I wanted to stop watching it halfway through. Finally, another trailer they released for The Punisher. So this has been like super hotly anticipated since they introduced Jon Bernthal as the Punisher in Daredevil Season 2. I was super hyped for this show. Let me go to you first, Kyle. Did you watch this trailer?
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
It's a really good trailer. Like it's set to 1 by Metallica, which was really badass, and they do the thing that me as who has OCD tendencies really appreciates. Everything in the trailer was done to the music.
The music. Like he reloads his gun and like shoots
shots.
the gun to the drum hits. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So it's a good fucking trailer, but I also really don't like that actor and didn't think they did anything interesting with him in the other series. So I'll probably still watch it because it's a lot of shooting dudes and it'll be like fun actiony stuff, and it'll have tie-ins with the other Marvel things that are going on. Mm-hmm. But I'm not like really gung-ho about it.
Interesting that you don't like Jon Bernthal. He has a very unique style to his acting that sometimes I enjoy, sometimes I don't. Like the first time I saw him, he played a somewhat small character in The Pacific, which was a follow-up to Band of Brothers on HBO.
Oh, he did.
It took place in the Pacific.
That's right.
He was a smaller character on that. I loved him on that. Then he was obviously, I don't remember the character's name, but he was in the first season of The Walking Dead.
And I thought he was character.
Brilliant in that. No, it wasn't a made-up character.
Yeah, he's not in the comics. That love triangle does not exist in the comics.
I thought he was. Interesting. Okay. But I really liked him in The Walking Dead.
Oh, you did?
He's, funny side note, he plays a small role in Wind River, the movie I was talking about. But yes, as Punisher, I remember I was a little behind watching Daredevil Season 2, and so I remember online everybody freaking out about how much they loved the Punisher in that season. And in the first couple episodes, I was with you, where I was like, I'm not getting a ton from this. But as the show went on, the season went on, I got more invested in his character, and I did end up really liking him. Like in all the scenes where he like almost dies, and so he's in the hospital and he breaks out, like all of that stuff I thought was really compelling. So I was excited for this show. I agree with you. I thought the trailer was really well edited. To me, it was really cheesy. I did not like the trailer. Like, yes, the Metallica stuff was cool and fits the shtick, but like the editing was done well. It was executed well, but I didn't like it. Like, it felt corny and over the top, which like,
if that's the way the series is, that's what'll get me to watch it. Like because
yes.
All of these Marvel series have been so incredibly different than the other ones, and then when they came together in Defenders, that's what made it really cool. It's because they're all so different, and so if this is like more of a cheesy, over the top action, like gritty, not I guess cheesy and gritty don't go together, but like over the top, like really hamming it up action with like all the one-liners and stuff.
Right.
Like I will appreciate how different that is than all of the other Marvel series, and like the fact that they do that in a serialized television show as opposed to just like a B-budget action movie, like that, having it in more of a long form format will be pretty cool, I think.
I'm with you on that. Like if that's the route they were to take, that would be exciting for its uniqueness. I will say that I think that goes against what they did with the character in Daredevil. Like, that feels like they would be changing the tone of the character.
Yeah, because when you go that route, there tends to be less focus on the character.
Well, yeah, for sure. There needs to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have the cheesy one-liners and over-the-top action and still expect me to care about the characters. Like, that's not something that is realistic to pull off.
Yeah, that's fair.
If that's the route they go, I could definitely see it being enjoying, or I could definitely see myself enjoying it. And I will say too, like, I want it to be a little bit over the top. I want it to be super violent. That is the character of the Punisher. It's just the style of this trailer didn't click with me. It felt corny. And it's totally worth saying this is just a trailer put together by the marketing department.
Right.
It's not like the director edited this trailer together, so it's not necessarily representative of the final product, which we have seen, proof positive with the DC movies and the way they edited the trailers for those movies compared to the actual movies. You cannot trust a trailer to give you the tone of a movie or even of a show anymore. But
right.
I was underwhelmed isn't the right word because it was fucking a crazy trailer, but I was like a little put off by it. But I'm still excited for the show. I will 100% be watching it when it comes out. So if it goes the direction you're talking about, that could be cool. I think it'd also be cool if they stuck with the character from the show and went that direction and made it a little bit more dramatic with still the violence and the a bit over the top action nature. Either way sounds cool to me. I just hope they don't try to do both, is what I'm saying.
Sure. And I guess it makes sense why you would want it that way and I would want it the other way, because you like him as an actor and I don't.
Yeah.
So if they do it my way, I don't have to watch him act as much.
Yeah. He's a very unique actor. He does a weird like head bobbing.
I was
thing
literally
all the time.
about to say that. It's like with his head and his shoulders and the way I hate it. I really hate it.
Yeah, it's kind of distracting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's going to wrap up news for this week, and we're going to move on to Hate of the Week. Hate of the Week. All right, so this one, a little bit quicker than what we've been talking about in the past. It's more of just like a quick rant. So I will elucidate this problem via fantasy football. So I apologize. I know I said I was going to talk that much about fantasy football. I'm still not talking, quote unquote, about fantasy football. I'm just using that as an example because this was the example that I lived for this problem. So, guy on Twitter asks some famous fantasy football expert, should I start guy A or should I start guy B? Fantasy football expert responds, I would start guy A because of this reason. Person who asks the question responds, yeah, but guy B has this thing going on. And so my takeaway is like, if you already know which guy you wanted to start, why the fuck did you ask the question? And so the issue is people that ask for someone else's opinion, not because they care about the opinion, but because they just want their own opinion to be validated. And I feel like there's like a fine line here because, again, with sticking with fantasy football, for me, every week I'll always put out like a poll on Twitter and say like, hey, I have these 3 guys. I need to start 2. Who would you start? And I already have my opinion of who I would want to start, but I'm curious to see what other people will say. And like, if it validates my opinion, great. That makes me feel more confident. But if people are saying like, oh, well, no, you should start this guy, I'm going to listen and consider that. I won't just like necessarily go with their opinion, but I'm open to hearing it and their justification for it. This is a scenario where it's like, this guy already knows the guy he wants to start, and he just wants the expert to say, yes, you're right. But that's not how he asks the question. The question should not be, should I start guy A or B? The question should be, I'm leaning towards guy B for this reason. What would you do? And then they can say, oh, well, guy A says this, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, it doesn't make sense to me because you already know which guy you want to start. And to take this outside of fantasy football, like you already know what your opinion is, and you aren't looking to have that opinion changed. You just want it to be validated. And really this, I mean, I'm making it more specific because the larger issue is just like people wanting to feel important and right on the internet.
Yeah.
And when we post things on the internet, it's not to start a discussion. It's not to hear any disagreements and kind of talk through that. When we post something or an opinion on the internet, we just want people to go, thumbs up, like button. Yes, you're right. You're so right. Like, yes, yes, yes. We don't want a discussion. We just want to be validated. Mm-hmm. And that's super annoying.
I agree. I see this all the time in the Giant Bomb Facebook group. Like someone will they'll post some, and it's usually a negative opinion on something, and then inevitably, when people don't agree with them, they get really defensive and then lash out, and then like they get really frustrated, and then Ahmad has to come in and close down the post. Like there's one of those at least every day, and it feeds into that problem you're talking about of people needing to feel validated and important, because like someone comes in with a hot take, The problem is that they think it's a hot take, and they
Sure.
want other people to tell them it is, and not sarcastically.
Yeah.
Which is the only time hot take is ever used, sarcastically. But yeah, and I've done that in the past, and I've tried to be more conscious of it, and I don't think I haven't done that in a little while, I don't think. Because my big mantra for myself is, like, I don't care what other people think. And it's not always true, but I tell myself that because I need to fight against that instinct or that innate need for approval from other people. So, like, that's something that I tell myself all the time. Like, if someone mouths off to me or whatever, I just go, I don't know why I would care what they think, because they are not important. Their opinion does not matter.
Yeah.
It's their opinion. It's fine. Right? So that's what I tell myself all the time. And it helps me go through my day without feeling the need of the public masses' approval.
And I think, there's a difference between not respecting other people's opinions and not hinging your self-worth on other people's opinions. Because, like, I'm always interested in hearing someone's opinion, especially when it's different than mine, because I want to have that discussion. I want to hear about it. But I think what you're talking about is more the, like, I feel this, and then when someone else comes in a shitty way and is like, no, you're wrong, that's when you're like, why would I give a fuck what you have to say?
Exactly, yes. It's more about like, how they share their opinion than what their opinion is.
Just because someone disagrees with you is no reason to dismiss their opinion.
Correct.
Like, that's part of the whole problem that I'm talking about, is people that, like, if you don't agree with me, go away. And it's this, like, I see this on Facebook all the time and on Twitter too. It's like, here's something controversial, don't at me. Which is basically saying, here's something that people are going to disagree with, but I don't want to hear about it. I just want to share my shitty opinion. I don't want anyone to disagree with me or challenge me. I don't want to learn anything. I don't want to have to defend myself. I don't want to share anything with the world. I just want to say what I want to say, and then I'm out. Fuck off. Straight up fuck off. If that's how you're going to look at stuff. Like, and again, like, why the fuck do I give a shit about what you have to say about anything? If that's your mentality, is here's what I think, bounce, I'm gone. Why would I care? Like, if you can't defend your opinion, if you have no reasoning behind your opinion, you are literally just saying this thing is good or this thing is bad, which, like, barely even constitutes as an opinion.
Right. I mean, that's a statement, not an opinion. The opinion is what backs up the statement.
Sure, yeah. I mean, like, it still obviously is subjective, but you're right. Like, you're not creating a discussion or a conversation about it. You're not offering anything. It is inherently selfish.
Yeah.
Like, you're saying this thing is good, and you expect people to respect that. And, like, oh, well, they said this thing is good, it must be good.
Yeah.
You're not telling me why. You're not doing, like, and then if I don't think the thing is good, you just think I'm wrong? Like, you're not interested in hearing why I don't think the thing is good?
Yeah, so let's bring it full circle. So Steam reviews, when you look at a game, overwhelmingly positive, overwhelmingly negative. That's literally Steam telling you this many people said good, this many people said bad. It doesn't tell you why they said good or bad. You have to go click into it and find out for yourself, right?
Yeah.
That's a symptom of the problem and not the problem, but that is a system built off of symptoms of the problem.
And like, in taking it back to what we were talking about with Rotten Tomatoes even a little bit, like, people that are like, oh, should I go see this movie? Let me go check Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, it has an 85%. That means yes, I should go see it. Oh, it has a 40%. No, I should not go see it. And they're just going based upon the number.
Right.
Or, you know, people that in the video game world that go on IGN and look at the review score. They're not going to read the review. They're not going to watch the video review. They just want to know, what score did you give this? Is it good or is it bad? They don't want to hear about the justification or the reasoning, which takes away the whole point. Right. It takes away all of the nuance of a score, which is, you know, I've had a rant about this before, but it's why, like, a long time ago, before I had my website and I was just running a separate blog, I didn't do review scores. Like, if you come to my stuff for my opinion, you're going to fucking get my opinion. You don't get to come here and say, oh, you gave it a 4 out of 10, and then say, well, no, then that means I don't want to buy it. Or what's even worse, someone likes a video game, comes and reads my review and sees I gave it a negative score, and then just says like, oh, well, you're fucking wrong. You gave it a 6. This game's a 9 out of 10. I'm like, okay, well, did you read the review? Did you see why I gave it a 6 out of 10? Then because I had these mechanical issues, it was buggy, oh, I got dropped from the server. Like, no, you didn't read it. You just saw that I gave it a 6 and decided to argue with me. Why do you think it's a 9 out of 10? You just think it's good? You can't justify your opinion either. Fuck off. Shea's Hate of the Week. Fuck off. Just everyone on the internet, fuck off.
Yep.
That's it.
Except for me. I mean, I'm like flawless.
Same.
Same.
I mean, that's why we're running this podcast.
That's right. Ours is our opinions are the only ones that matter. And only when we agree with each other.
I was sitting here this morning as I was doing the prep to record, and I was like, all right, so what's this week's Hate of the Week? Because normally, like, something will happen that will trigger something, and I'm like, okay, well, I know that I want that to be this week's Hate of the Week.
Yeah.
And that hadn't happened yet. So I'm sitting here thinking about, like, stuff that's been going on. I have a couple of, like, I have an ideas segment or a page where I, like, keep track of little things that come up and see if I can kind of build them into a larger argument about something. And I didn't really have anything that was speaking to me. And I was like, oh, well, okay, so here's a little example of something that I saw happen the other day with fantasy football that I can kind of extrapolate. But I'm not like, it's not that big of a thing. It's just like a little pet peeve. And so I was like going into Hate of the Week where like, oh, it's a bit of a softer Hate of the Week. It's just like, oh, this is a little annoying thing. And then here I am telling the entire internet to fuck off 3 minutes later. So apparently I am pretty passionate about it, as I am everything.
There's a degree of escalation there.
Yeah, so that's going to do it for this week, everybody. Thanks for listening. Kyle, thanks for joining me. If you want to write in with any questions, any opinions that you can justify, don't tell me that this movie was a 6 out of 10 and sign your name. You can send it to info@sheahateseverything.com, or you can check out the Facebook page for Shea Hates Everything and leave us a comment there. Check out my website, sheahateseverything.com. I have Don't Cabal to come back, going strong. I write an update every couple of days about my experiences with Destiny. And Kyle and I were playing Sunday morning, so I'll have some more thoughts based upon what we do that day. Destiny, it's a fun game. It's a bit boring, it's a bit monotonous, but I'm having fun.
Yeah, play it or don't.
6 out of 10. Okay.
Hot take.
So, thanks, guys, and we will see you in the next episode on a Monday. Peace out.